Everybody, welcome to the Titans the Fantastic, the great return of the Titans. We've been gone for a while from doing the show, but now we're back. So we're happy to be back with you. I don't know what that is. Wow, it's dinging on us. Down below, we've got the amazing Brittney with us. She is our award-winning director, our geek among geeks. She's amazing. We've got her with us. Next, over to me this way, we've got Keith from Pop Culture Minefield, along with many other places. The man who knows everything geekdom.
No. I don't know everything. Trust me. After being with Gary, I will let you in on this. I can definitely now say officially, I don't know everything. I really don't.
I still think you do.
I think you just let Gary think you know. So you already know it. So, but welcome. I'm Larry from GeekyCool.com, and also the Geeky Cool. Geek Cool presents Professor and Ace show. Also, so we are happy to be together. We started this several years ago, usually filming it together, and life happened, so we hadn't been able to continue for a while. At the library, which was awesome. But now we are able to do it through the magic of the internet. So yeah, COVID has helped us learn some things. So I'm glad to be with you two. You two are awesome, or actually, I should say, fantastic. Yeah, exactly right. So I'm glad to be back. So glad to be back with you guys. I know when we started talking about doing this, it's like, yeah, we just need to do it. So we just decided to do it. So let's do this. I know Keith has some things he wanted to start us off with, and we'll see where this thing goes. If it's like the old days, it'll go 8 hours.
Oh my goodness. My battery won't last 8 hours on my phone.
No.
Not even close.
It was always like 2 to 3. I mean, we always try to shoot for 1. It was 2 to 3 or 4 or whatever. But
we should shoot for 10 minutes, and then we'll get to an hour.
Yeah, that's true. 10 minutes. Go, Keith. You got 10 minutes. That's all.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Yeah, Keith can't even give his intro on 10 minutes. So.
We're already almost 3 minutes in, so you have 7.
Oh, well, look at her. She's going to be the taskmaster.
Wow. Okay.
7 minutes.
It's the director talking.
I can barely count. Don't worry.
Okay. First and foremost, hi everybody.
Hey Keith.
Let's see. What do I want to start with? You know what? Let's first of all just get this out of the way. Okay. The elephant in the room. Now, by now, safe to say that everyone here has seen the Snyder Cut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or what I like to call
the best movie ever.
So we know where Brittney falls.
Justice League. Sorry. Well, you can never see my shirt, but
oh, wow. Very nice. There you go.
Yeah. Representing my Superman.
I almost wore my Justice League shirt.
I want a Snyder Cut shirt, but
see, I
missed out. Yeah, I missed out when they were doing it for the hashtag. They had them for the suicide prevention stuff. I missed out on it.
Nice.
I've got one of the Justice League logo shirts, a black Justice League logo shirt, but that's all I have.
I have a great Justice League shirt, but that was a couple of sizes ago before COVID hit, and I got really fat. So yeah,
don't say that. You didn't get fat.
You know what? Everybody had to resize once C19 became a thing. So there is no judgment here, none at all. Anyway, so let me get on camera. That way, we can balance this out a little bit.
That way, Gary, that way you can talk.
Need to see your eyes. I need to see who I'm talking to.
I'm wondering if Keith is Italian, though. He's talking with his hands. My wife's Italian family. That's what they do. I mean, it's all this. I mean, are you Italian? Is that what it is, Keith?
Maybe.
All right.
Possibly.
The Italian stallion.
Who I didn't know was King Shark. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
That's later. This is why it normally goes 3 hours. Sorry. Go ahead. Justice League. You go.
Okay. By now, it's safe to say that all of us here have seen Justice League. And I think all of us, to some degree, have liked it. Probably some more than others. Okay.
Who doesn't like it? I don't understand.
There are people that
there are fans that don't. Yeah.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but okay.
I agree with you, but again, whatever. No judgment. No judgment.
See, I'm not judging you. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's your opinion. But I feel like if you don't like it, well, I feel like if you don't like it, then I feel like you're not like an actual, like you don't like DC. Like that's what I feel like. I feel like because it's like stuff straight out of the comics. Just like, well, I mean, so was BVS, but I mean, it's like shot for shot stuff. But so like, I feel like if you don't like it, like you probably just don't like DC.
It may depend on what part of DC you're a fan of. Like my father,
right,
who grew up in the late 40s, early 50s, and then into the 60s, he was reading comic books. And, as a kid, he was getting comics in the mail. His fandom was a lot more the Silver Age stuff, which really doesn't have the feel for this movie. And a lot of the characters are a little different than what they were in the Silver Age. But so I understand what you're saying, especially the current version of DC. But I think you could be a DC fan and not like the movie. Now, my father's not seen it yet, so I don't know what he thinks. But anyway,
my dad actually likes it. So my dad and my brother, like Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad. Like all of the ones that I'm just like, I love them. They're way more into Marvel. And so I talked to my dad. I talked to my dad today. My dad was like, hey, I think this is probably the best thing they've done. He was like, it was so good. And I was like, yeah, it was. That's what happens when someone's allowed to do the vision they want to do. And they're not like micromanaged over it.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that we've started to talk about on Pop Culture Minefield, which is the understanding that when Man of Steel launched with Zack Snyder, many people said that was the beginning of the DCEU. I am now telling them you're half right. It was the beginning of the DCEU version 2. Okay? Warner Brothers had actually been working on the DCEU prior to Man of Steel, since 2000. And a lot of the films that they made just were not hitting and connecting with audiences. Mm-hmm. So you have films like Jonah Hex. You have films like Constantine. Mm-hmm. You have films like Green Lantern. And so those 3 particular films are all pre-Man of Steel. Mm-hmm. And that is before Kevin Feige and the MCU started with Iron Man, and then just a little bit after. So that explains the reason why, quote unquote, DC was behind, when in actuality, they actually started before the MCU. It's just that audiences didn't like what they put together. And you were also dealing with filmmakers who were not, there was no one in charge of it at that time who was trying to keep continuity with the source material. Good example of that is Constantine. I've run into a lot of people that are fans of that movie.
I like that movie.
And who also, true, but I mean, you also have to understand that film is not very, that film does not really jive with the continuity of the comic.
Oh, no. It was a fun movie, though. Like, I think people dog on it. Like, the visuals and stuff were really fun. And, like the wings.
All of it's great.
Like, all of it is good. Great.
It did. They worked really hard on it. That one was an attempt to actually bring some of that magic that Fox had with Marvel. into Warner Brothers because Laura Schuler Donner was the one in charge of that particular film. And I often tell people, look at all the producers under her that they had to have, which is a nice mixture of Fox people and Warner Brothers DC loyal people. It took both of these groups to control her to just get the film made that you saw. Because from what I heard, there were a lot of other liberties that they were going to attempt to originally take with this that would have really just drawn it off from where it was. She's not a big fan of comics. That's the one thing you got to understand. And remember, this is
so it's like why have someone in charge that like doesn't like what they're making? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like
I can tell you,
all. Like at all.
It's corporate think. Remember, this is when Constantine came out. What was the biggest comic book films out there? The X-Men. She was in charge of it, and she was doing the same thing with the X-Men. She wasn't a fan. She was not a fan at all. And had she gotten her way, Magneto's name would have stayed the way that they had written it for the movie, which was they wanted to call him Jonathan and not Eric.
Which is like stupid. Why change somebody's name?
See?
It makes no sense. Well, and it's like, and let's face it, the X-Men movies weren't X-Men movies. They were like pretending to be
Wolverine.
X-Men movies.
Yeah, they were Wolverine films.
To me, the closest movies that we have gotten that feel X-Men accurate are the Deadpool movies, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I
mean, Logan was great. Like,
yes.
X2 was great. Like, First Class was good. But like, I mean, like closest to actually having X-Men where they're like in costumes that look like the comics and they're like talking about missions and like having the Juggernaut talk about his brother, like Shatterstar. Talking about Mojo, like the planet Mojo and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's the closest two movies. They're not even X-Men movies. They're Deadpool movies, and they're still better X-Men movies than the movies that actually called X-Men.
And you got a good Colossus in there. I mean, crud. So.
Oh my gosh, he's phenomenal. Like he's so good in it. Yep. So good in it.
So we do have a comment, guys. So let's do a comment from Jason Knight. Am I the only one who liked the Green Lantern movie?
No, I like the Green Lantern movie. I like Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he plays Ryan Reynolds and everything, but I think if they would have went where it wasn't all CGI, like because originally, like I remember they did an Entertainment Weekly issue and they had him in the suit, and it was his screen capture suit without all the CG stuff they put over it, and the suit looked good. Like I was like, man, like this looks really neat. Like this is exciting. And then I watched the movie and I was like, that's not what was on the cover of the magazine.
Not at all.
Because they went in, they're like, oh, we should just CG everything. And it was a huge mistake. Like I think if they wouldn't have done that, it would have done better.
Well, and I think some of the writing wasn't great in that movie. But that's been a problem. So
I mean, I don't think it's as bad as what everybody says. No, there's other movies out there, like comic book movies, that are way worse than that.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion.
I agree completely.
Like when he's Deadpool and has his mouth sewn shut, for instance.
Yeah,
that's way worse. Origins Wolverine. Yeah,
way worse. Like
I agree.
The worst Gambit I've ever seen in my life. Like it was awful.
Well, and you love Gambit. So
I know.
Gambit and Rogue are your X-Men. Those are your X-Men, and they ruined it for you.
They're my peeps, and they pretty much ruined Rogue in the other X-Men movies too.
Yes, they did.
If we're being honest, can I tell you my dream?
What's your dream?
That I want to happen so bad, and they're not going to do it. I would like Captain Marvel 2 to go up against like Rogue to be in Captain Marvel 2, and then Rogue just kills Captain Marvel and gets her powers, and that's what starts the X-Men universe.
Well,
a lot of
people
have been talking about that behind the scenes, so
that's what I want to happen.
Comic book based, she actually absorbs her to where she's actually in her head and disappears for a while. She's not even in physical form for a while. Carol's not. So
Oh yeah, get rid of her.
Like that could
I'm
happen.
not.
You could suck
I'm
her.
not a
then
fan.
you could have her in Rogue's head. So
yeah, I'm not a fan of anything they've done with Captain Marvel at all. Like, I think it's like the worst character they've added to the MCU, in my opinion. I don't like anything at all that they've done with her. So I think it would be a dream come true if Rogue just swooped in, got rid of her. We don't have to worry about her anymore. And then we can have accurate, like, X-Men where they're already X-Men. They're in their late 20s, 30s. Not like, hey, we've got to do another story where they figure out their powers. It's like, no, just have them in their suits. They already have their powers. We're ready to go.
Well, there's talk about having Rogue in there, so that part could happen. You could have it to where at the end of it, Captain Marvel comes back, but she goes out into space, and you don't have to have her in the Avengers. So
they're not gonna. I mean, they're not gonna get rid of her, but we can dream.
She's got
and I have
2 more movies.
Well, I have a sore spot too because I really don't think she did well. I don't think she did well at all. But like that put aside, literally the fact that you're keeping her and you got rid of Black Widow, like ridiculous. I feel like they've just screwed Scarlett Johansson over this entire time. Like, I wonder if she's just sitting at her house like,
Hey,
okay.
At least she's guaranteed at least one more adventure, unlike Henry Cavill. Really, Warner Brothers? Really?
Well, hey, all I can tell you is ScarJo has been around.
Hashtag it up, because there's a big chance that things might be going down at HBO if we continue on the path we're on.
So I've been using the hashtag bring back Brandon Roth. Does that help?
Brandon Roth.
What are you doing? He did a great job, but don't do that right now.
He was a great Superman. The writing of that movie was horrible.
Don't do that right now. I need you to hashtag only restore the Snyder universe right now. And then after I get it, and I get all the stuff that I was promised from this Justice League cut, after I get all of that stuff, I will hashtag Brandon Roth for you all day long. All day long.
If we're gonna have 3 different Batman going out at the same time, can't we just have 2 Superman going on at the same time? Roth and
you know what? Let me give you something about Brandon Routh. I don't care really what they try to say on this. After watching as much of Berlanti's Arrow and everything they tried to introduce, I still believe that Brandon Routh was the way they wrote the character that he was playing on there. He was really playing Ted Kord.
Yeah, he was.
He was playing Ted Kord. He would make a fantastic Ted Kord. He's a good-looking guy.
Yes.
You can buy him as a techie guy. Ted Kord really is Tony Stark, but not as an asshole.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's Ted Kord.
Well, and I have nothing against Brandon Roth. Like I liked him as Superman. I really liked that movie. I own that movie. I think he's great, but I mean, I think seriously, Henry, like if you look at him in the costume and the looks he does, and like when you hear him in interviews talking about Superman, like, and then you go back and look at the comics, and it's like Henry's all about like truth and justice. It's like he got so big for Man of Steel, and then for Batman vs Superman, they're like, hey, you don't have to get that big. We'll CG. And he's like, no way, that's dishonest. He's like, if I'm going to be Superman, like I'm going to do this for real, because that's what he would do. Like, because that's the honest thing. Like, so that's another reason why I like him. Is just because he was so serious about the, like, you have to be like on the right moral path to be Superman, like, which I thought was like amazing. But
I think both of them are great actors. I can see why both of them, it came down to the 2 of them for Superman Returns.
Yeah.
And I can see why Brandon Routh got the part. But I also think that Brandon Routh isn't as big of a nerd about comics as Henry Cavill is. You know, Henry Cavill is the king. Look, as far as I'm concerned, he is the king of nerds until he no longer wants that crown. Because
True story. His dog's name is Cal. Come on, Cal. His dog's name's Cal. It's the cutest thing ever.
When you have a guy who can get a lot of attention on YouTube just for putting up videos of him constructing a gaming computer.
He's awesome.
Not talking, not doing anything else other than
together.
Just putting stuff, and people just go and lose their minds. I mean, you are the king of the nerds. You are their king now, and this guy, he gets swole for every role. I mean, it's like
royalty.
Whatever party. He's one of these guys that I seriously think you could bring a lawsuit for the number of kids that have been conceived watching any of his stuff. I mean,
probably. Jeez Louise.
I mean, the way women go after him. I've seen videos of co-stars.
He's a good-looking dude, man.
He is.
And I'm trying. So that's why everybody thinks that he's my favorite Superman. I mean, it's great because he is an extremely attractive guy, and he looks amazing in the suit. That's just a bonus. Like, that's just an added bonus that he's so good looking and looks fantastic in the suit. That's just a bonus. Like, oh my gosh, in the Justice League cut, Keith, we're gonna have to discuss this sometime. Like the whole entire movie. So it's gonna take like 8 hours because we're gonna have to break down every minute. So it's gonna be double the time. But like in the epilogue, when we see him, like, you know, I mean, fans know who they're talking about when Mira's like, I'm gonna kill him for what he did to Arthur, and like fans know what's about to happen. But when he drops down and it's like Henry can play a bad guy, like I want to see everything Justice League set up. Like, I want the solo Batman movie. I want it then Justice Nightmare stuff. I want another Justice League. I never wanted a Cyborg movie until I saw the Justice League cut that we were supposed to see. Now I want a Cyborg movie. Like, I wasn't super pumped about the Flash movie because I didn't like
Ezra Miller.
What they did. No, I like him a lot. I did not like him in the Justice League movie. I didn't like what they did with him until I saw the Snyder cut, and I was like, "Oh, I got you."
The Warner Brothers,
I want to see. I want to see it now.
You didn't like him in the Warner Brothers version of Warner Brothers' version of Justice League, as directed by Joss Whedon.
Right. I didn't like what they did with the Flash. I didn't like all of the weird, funny Batman, like the jokey Batman. Like, I didn't like that stuff. I didn't like, literally the only scenes I really liked in Justice League, come to find out, were the only Zack Snyder scenes that were left in the movie. You know, like where they're fighting Superman in front of the statue stuff. Like that whole scene.
And we didn't even see all of that.
We didn't even see all of that. Yeah, but like them, you know, and like him like kind of flying up high and headbutting Wonder Woman and like all of that stuff was amazing. So that was like my favorite scene in the entire movie. And the only time I liked Flash was in that one scene. And then we see Snyder's cut and I'm like, dude, I am pumped for a Flash movie. It's like, I am pumped for a Cyborg movie. And then WB's like, we know everybody loves the Justice League that has been released. Everybody's tweeting about it. Too bad. We don't care. It's like practically what they said. They're like, we don't care. You can get 50 million tweets in a day. We don't care.
All I can say
we don't care.
AT&T will say, show me the money.
100%. 100%.
WB can be a little snooty if they want, but the people that control their purse strings will be saying, no, we did this for a reason.
If they put this movie in the IMAX right now and said it's $30 a ticket, dude, I would pay $30 a ticket. I'd watch it a few times, and I'm not a person that has money. I would find $60 to watch that twice in IMAX, like in a week.
Right.
100%. They would make a killing.
Well, and
but WB is just being so weird about it. It's insane.
Well, they're not being weird. What it comes down to is there are still people hanging around even after AT&T took over that were there when this was in production, and it makes them look bad. It really does. And so now that fans have become aware who these people are, and we're now beginning to understand some of the issues, it all comes down to ego. More than anything else, it's ego. Ego on the part of Toby, who wanted to be the good guy in this, which makes that whole phone call last November kind of different. And then did you hear what Zack Snyder said about what Warner Brothers actually offered and how they wanted to negotiate this movie?
No.
When Toby Emmerich made the phone call about putting the Snyder Cut out, I mean, you did at least know that when Zack Snyder left, he took the entire film the way that it was, and it's beyond 4 hours. I think it was a 5.5 hour, 6 hour cut. It was all in black and white.
Yeah.
And it was all on his laptop. What Toby Emmerich was wanting to do was he was wanting Zack to just give Warner Brothers the entire thing as it was, and they were going to put it out as is. And he said, no, I'm not going to give you this, because as Zack said, it's like, well, yeah, it was an underhanded move. Ultimately, it sounds like he's being nice, but in actuality, it was a way of sabotaging the whole thing.
Right.
Because if they had put it out the way that it was, then Warner Brothers could say, see, this is the reason why we didn't want to do this. Look at how bad this is. Blah blah blah. So Zack wasn't going to give it.
Still would have been better. I bet it still would have been better. They could have taken it and released it, and I guarantee you it still would have been better. No CGI, like they could have not had anything finalized. I bet it still would have been better. Like
it is like dealing with high school kids. It literally is with some of these people.
I have like the Justice League, like that I bought because I buy all the DC stuff. I can't wait to burn it. Like as soon as the Snyder cut comes out on Blu-ray and I can buy that. Like, I should probably keep it just so I can prove to people, like, because people are gonna forget. Like 5 years from now,
collector's item.
Yeah, 5 years from now, people are gonna forget how bad it is. So I guess I should keep it. But like, part of me wants to burn it and like have a party and get rid of it, and then watch the Justice League. Well, the way it was intended.
I know what I wanted from all of this. I wanted one of those big coffee table making of books. And they did put one out for Justice League, okay? Since all of this has happened, because remember, this book, that coffee table book came out in conjunction with the 2017 movie, the Warner Brothers version. Here's what you notice when you have the book. It is a behind-the-scenes record of the making of the movie. But what you notice is, aside from the introduction from Christopher Nolan, and then the very last page that has the final picture from the final day of filming, where everybody in the crew got together and took a giant picture, those are the only two times you get a picture of Zack Snyder. He is nowhere else in that book. But also, there are absolutely no pictures or mention of Joss Whedon.
Which is weird.
The entire thing is weird. And it's like, so basically, you have this book that is pretty much chronicling and mixing together artfully both how they were making it with Zack, but also mixing together some of the things that they did when they were doing the reshoots, trying to make it seem like one cohesive production. And you put this book out. And so you don't accurately chronicle the pre-production and the work that went into it from Zack Snyder's point of view, from when they were making the movie, from the people that were working on it. You got no behind-the-scenes pictures for any of the major scenes that people now know were cut out, like the storytelling scene, or you get nothing from none of that's in this book, because those were scenes that were ultimately cut out and rewritten by Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns.
Well, and they rewrote it to a way where you don't care. Like that's what
Yes.
we were talking about. Like we were talking about Larry. We were talking about before.
Yeah.
Is there just
Yes.
scenes that, like I had no emotional connection whatsoever to the 2017 version. Like looking back, like none. Like, and I just kept thinking it was me. Like I was like, wow, I guess I'm dead inside. Like, because like I had no connection to these people. Because you see like the Amazons just being slaughtered, and I'm like, I have no connection. I don't feel bad for them, and so I just thought maybe I was broken. And then the Snyder Cut comes out, and I watch it, and I was like so emotional. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, like they just died for this.
Right.
And it just shows you like, I mean, how much better, in my opinion, a lot of people disagree, but how much better Zack Snyder is at visually like telling a story. Because there wasn't a lot of dialogue, like, but like, I mean, I was immediately like, wow, like that hit really hard. And like even just the scenes with Lois, like how he shot that. Again, she didn't have a lot of dialogue in this movie, like comparatively to the other ones that we've seen her in. And like just I mean, like just seeing her shots, like they're just shots of her, and I felt something. And he's just so much better at storytelling, I think, than Joss Whedon is, which is a bummer because I mean he used to be one of my favorites, and it's just
I don't know if
his ideas are good.
He does a lot of stuff that's kind of
not
like
cool.
Like Flash falling on top of Wonder Woman, like all of that stuff is insane to me because it degrades Wonder Woman. Like
and plus Gal was not comfortable with doing that. I mean, my thing is
not at all.
It's good to be creative, but you should also take into consideration the performers.
Right. And unless she was not okay with it. So I mean that stuff really bothers me. And I mean in Snyder, like when you watch the Snyder Cut, like Flash has those moments. It's like everybody gets it. It's freaking Gal Gadot. Like she's gorgeous. Like everybody knows she's pretty. But like Zach did it in a different way, like where the Flash is talking to Cyborg about her, like how he's just like, wow. Like he doesn't have to fall on top of her and make it weird and awkward and uncomfortable.
I love that scene in the graveyard where it's like, well, do you think she could go for a young guy like me? And it's like, hey man, she's 5,000 years old. Every guy is a young guy.
Yeah. Exactly. Well,
and like when he first meets her, like when they're on the tarmac or whatever, and she just walks up and he's like, whoa, like hi. You know what I mean? So it's like he doesn't have to fall on top of her and like degrade her and make it super awkward. Like I was like, this is very uncomfortable. Like when it happened in the theater, because I watched it in the theater, obviously. I was like, this is so uncomfortable. Like, what is this? And there were so many moments like that were very uncomfortable. And now, like that these actors have been allowed to come out and talk about it, a lot of them were very uncomfortable with all of the reshoots they had to do and they didn't want to do them.
Right.
And it's just, I mean, it's kind of a bummer for them that they had to do them.
Part of me wonders how much of that was actually Joss and how much of that was WB dictating what was going to happen. But
well, that's the thing. When you have the producers, Jeff Johns and John Berg, who were the producers, and working on behalf of them, you had Toby Emmerich over them, and ultimately everybody was answering to Kevin Tsujihara, who was the CEO at that time. These were the individuals that were working against Zack Snyder.
Right.
Okay. And they were the ones that Jeff Johns was the one that I think brought Joss into the production before he took over as director. Chris Terrio had left because Warner Brothers was wanting so many rewrites that after a while he just said F it and left. Joss Whedon was brought in to do rewrites, of which Zach said, some of this stuff was actually pretty cool. I mean, I took some of it, and he tried to be a team player about it.
Right.
And after a while, it just became apparent that we had another Superman 2 situation on our hands. which is what happened for Superman 2, which is where you had the director begin to realize that both the producers and the studio didn't want him there.
Right.
And then they introduced him to this guy that was supposed to be helping him film the movie, and it turns out that's Richard Lester. And all he was doing is they were waiting the 2 to 3 weeks for him to learn all the different things before they told Richard Donner, "You're fired."
It's such a bummer.
And so he wasn't able to complete Superman 2, which is the real reason why a movie that the sequel, which should have been out the following year, instead of having Superman come out in 78 and then having Superman 2 come out in 79, you have to wait until 1980 to get Superman 2. And you had to spend all this money to do massive amount of reshoots to film scenes in places that weren't even a part of the original script, like Paris. The whole Paris part of Superman 2, which is the beginning of the movie, that's all reshot stuff that they added to the story. Because
Never
Superman
made a lot
2
of
actually,
sense. Yeah.
None of it made sense. But I mean, they added more comedy to it. They added they took out a lot of stuff.
Why do they do that? Like, I know it works for Marvel. Like, I'm not dogging Marvel. Love WandaVision. Love Age of Ultron and Captain America.
It works for the MCU.
Right.
You can't say Marvel. It only works for the MCU because Fox didn't do it very well.
Right. It works for what they're doing to an extent. There's sometimes they go overboard. Like Fat Thor. That bummed me out to no end. Not because, so again, a lot of people are like, oh, because you want to see him with his abs. And I'm like, no, it felt so out of character to me. Mm-hmm. Like the drinking and like being devastated, I totally understand that. But like when they go back and he's like in front of his mom and he's like this like bumbling mess, it's like, this does not feel right. And they only did it to be funny. That was it. Well, they only did it to be funny, in my opinion. And it's like,
I don't think that's true.
That was like a huge miss for me. It's like, because I don't think it came across as he was this depressed, like blaming himself guy. Like, I don't know. And the stuff with the Xbox, and like, I was watching it and I was like, what are you doing? Like, normally the funny stuff they do, it's like, whatever. It doesn't bother me that much. Like, some of it fits really well, but it's like all of that stuff that they did, like, I didn't feel like it fit well. So, And with the DC stuff they've been doing, a lot of the DC stuff, especially if you're in the Batman world, which I know you don't like the darker Superman that they've been doing, but they've put so much of what they were doing connected to the Batman world. So in my opinion, a lot of it's going to be darker anyways, because Batman and Gotham and all of these characters that have been so heavy in the DCEU right now are all Batman related storylines and side shoots. So they're all darker.
I have some information for you about that.
Before we do that, let's take a few, because we've got some comments here from B-Town Bat. So just want to throw these up here. Hey, B-Town, sorry that we're taking a little while to get to you. Wanted to finish those thoughts, but we're going to come right back to those. So B-Town Bat says, what's up, y'all? And Jason, yes, you are. In relation to Jason asking if he's the only one like the Green Lantern. B-Town Bat also says he wants I want Ben Solo series, which that would be great. I agree.
Yeah, did you see what they released? Was like what Joe said that they were going to do? There's going to be like Deathstroke and Batman, and they were going to have a Batgirl in it. We were going to get a Zack Snyder version of Batgirl, which I bet you it would have been the Batgirl that I wanted.
I would like the Batgirl you would like. So, yeah. And then he also adds, Netflix is talking about picking up another streaming service. We'll go after it. The problem is WB owns DC. Well, that's true, and that's why it's on HBO, is because AT&T owns HBO and owns WB.
Yeah, so inevitably, like I said earlier, that WB's like, no, but it's not really up to them, even though they're saying
it's not.
No. It's like if and Zack Snyder like tweeted somebody the other day and was like, hey, Like, the way we can get this happening is if you guys continue to stream, like, so their numbers go up, and like new subscriptions, new streaming, all the hashtagging. They're like, that's what AT&T and HBO Max are looking at right now. They really don't care what WB's saying. So I guess I shouldn't get too bent out of shape.
Well, that's the reason why I took a
It's only been out a couple weeks. I'm acting like it's been out a year or something.
Well, that's the reason why I've been posting. You know, I've taken to actually posting either Godzilla or Kong, or Godzilla and Kong pictures, but with the hashtag Revive the Snyder Universe. You know, because I figure if Warner Brothers is going to start playing, you know, juvenile games with a lot of this stuff, then I could do a little something. It's like, hey, here's a picture of Godzilla saying Revive the Snyderverse. You know.
See, and I just keep thinking, like, who would they get to play Batgirl? I'm putting the cart before the horse, as I do with most things in my life. I don't even know where the horse is at this point. The cart is way up ahead. But it's like, who would they cast?
Alicia Silverman.
Gosh, no. No. Not good.
Here's something that you may not have heard before that'll help explain why everything went the way that it did. And I need Larry to listen to this too, because this is something that I found out that I found fascinating. Okay. So here we are. You have Christopher Nolan and the Dark Knight trilogy. And Warner Brothers has decided to take another swing at Justice League because, you know, they've already, you know, you had the George Miller version of Justice League that would have come out earlier around 2000, 2001, right? So as far as Warner Brothers was concerned, this is how they saw DC being adapted into future films. You ready? Justice League to them was Batman, Flying Batman, Underwater Batman, Batman with the invisible plane, Batman who's half computer, Batman who runs very fast. Are you beginning to see how this goes? This is how the top brass at Warner Brothers saw all of that. So coming into making Superman, that was Warner Brothers' mentality. And the reason why they wanted Christopher Nolan to be the director of Man of Steel. They wanted him to control all of their DC characters because their mentality, their thinking was, this guy has done an amazing job with Batman. Look at all the piles of cash that we got, and he got us another Academy Award.
Still not my favorite.
Major Academy Award.
Still not my favorite.
So there's, you know, so a lot of people keep saying, you know, well, you know, Zach did this and that, Zach did that. Here's the thing, though. Christopher Nolan came up with the idea for Man of Steel. He came up with the story idea. He contacted his go-to guys for screenwriting, which is David S. Goyer and his brother Jonathan Nolan, you know, the guy that also ended up co-creating Westworld, the new version. Okay? So the three of them sat down to write what eventually became the script. Warner Brothers greenlit the script. They put out the budget, and Christopher Nolan got his pre-production film team to start work on Man of Steel. Notice whose name you do not hear.
Zach.
Christopher Nolan brings Zach in later.
See, Man of Steel is amazing.
Yes, but it's also not really Zach's idea.
No. I know it's not his idea, but it's amazing.
Zach had a different idea. And many people who like to criticize Zack Snyder talking about, well, he doesn't understand, Superman need to understand. Well, that's because the idea of Superman was already in place as far as Warner Brothers was concerned with the script for Man of Steel. So whatever version of Superman he was making thereafter had to adhere to what Christopher Nolan had. And it's one of those situations where it's kind of like going to a family reunion. and you have that one person in the family that's made it big. I mean, big.
Mhm.
They're wealthy, they're good looking. Everybody in the family wants to hang out with them. So whatever they want, even by extension, has to go because everybody's going to let them do whatever they want. They knew that they were never really going to get Christopher Nolan to make any of these films because Nolan told them that this is not really what he wants to do. But since he handpicked Zack Snyder, they had to stick with Snyder in order to continue in their minds to do business with Christopher Nolan. Because if you get rid of Zack Snyder, you're pretty much saying goodbye to Nolan. And notice, Nolan is a producer or executive producer for all of these movies. And this is technically his universe, even though Snyder's the one that came up with the stuff with Batman and everything else. But that wasn't really, Batman v Superman was not what he was wanting to do.
Right.
He was wanting to make Man of Steel 2 with the understanding that he'd be allowed to make changes so that it would reflect what his idea and Henry Cavill's idea of Superman was. And Warner Brothers said, look, you're going to get another shot with this character because, you know, they didn't like the box office for Man of Steel and they blamed him.
Right.
Didn't blame Christopher Nolan. Didn't blame any of his people. They figured, you know what, it's you. You're the odd duck out because we really don't want you. So it's your fault. But we're going to give you a chance to make it up to us. So you're going to make another movie. And Zach's thinking, cool, I'm going to be able to do stuff with Superman. I'll give you a really great story. He's like, no, you don't understand. See, you're going to put Batman in the movie. Well, Batman doesn't fit. You know, I don't have that story. I want to work more with Smallville and all his friends. No, you don't understand. You're going to put Batman in the next movie. So he had to.
Right.
And
Can we say though how amazing it is that I mean, to be honest, that he didn't want that as the story. Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman are probably in my top 5 favorite superhero movies.
This is someone working under threat.
Right, like that's like, again, to me a testament, because again, there is shot for shot stuff from the comics that if you wouldn't have told somebody, like if people didn't know what was going on and they saw if they saw Man of Steel, if they saw Batman vs Superman and they saw the Snyder cut, not one person would be like, I bet that's not his idea. Like he didn't want to do it that way. Like that's how well how well he like strung it along
and again,
to me.
When I say Batman v Superman, I mean his version of the movie because they ended up doing that to him. See, that's the first time Warner Brothers jumped in and said, you know what, this movie's too long, so we'll help you out, Zach. So you cut about 30 minutes out of the film, and since they started making all this quote-unquote strategic cuts, you had a film come out that didn't make too much sense. And so when you watch the ultimate cut of the movie makes a whole lot more sense and actually fits with Man of Steel, and it fits with the original version of Justice League. It all makes one long movie, although at the time, Warner Brothers, told him, we want a Justice League film. This movie is meant to be the bridge to what we are wanting to do because we want to go straight to Justice League. So, again, you have no one in charge of DC films. There is nobody in charge of DC films. He's getting his marching orders directly from the top brass. And they're telling him all this stuff. So he's having to roll with the punches to get a movie made. And so he comes up with...
Harley.
Oh, that's all right. He comes up with an idea that would allow him to do not one movie, but 4 movies. Mm-hmm. Really, 3 films and a connecting film between Man of Steel and the 3 films that he wants to make. So that's Batman v Superman. So in actuality, there was meant to be 5 movies. What you've actually gotten are 3 films.
Mm-hmm.
Which is such a bummer.
It is a bummer because he was ready to give them so much. And again, this is going to sound like, well, Keith must not like the MCU. I love the MCU, but I think Kevin Feige is kind of a little bit of a sports guy. And the reason why I say that is that I don't think he's above using ideas because he sees what he does as sort of being in competition with what everyone else does. Mm-hmm. Batman v Superman was in production a very long time. So much so that people began to take pictures. So there were no real quote unquote spoilers in the movie. Pictures began to leak out about Henry Cavill, stories also about Henry Cavill, the filming they were doing for what such and such scenes. There's stuff that if you type in Gal Gadot 2014, prior to July, you're going to see even some of the stuff that they were doing for like the scene where she was getting in the car in Batman v Superman. You know, they were doing all kinds of stuff like that. And this is early in the year. Now, most movies will take 3, maybe 4 months to make. Batman v Superman was still in production by late 2014. This was a long in production. So that means Kevin Feige, he knew what all of the hidden stuff in that movie was. And he made changes to the next MCU movie to accommodate for that.
Which was Civil War.
That was Civil War. All of the changes
again,
they made.
One of the worst ones they've done because they were like, oh, and then it just makes me so mad. Well, and then everyone's like, oh, Batman vs Superman, they copied Civil War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or better yet,
they didn't.
With the whole exhibit now in Dallas, at the AT&T exhibit that they have in Dallas, Texas, for Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, includes all of Zack Snyder's original notes for how he wanted all 3 Justice League films to go. And if you notice, there are some major story beats that are very reminiscent of what you ended up having for Infinity War and Endgame, including killing off a major character at the end of the entire story. That if Warner Brothers had
You're just gonna make me mad, alone, Keith. You're gonna make me mad.
There would have been changes to both Infinity War and Endgame. I don't think Tony Stark would have died at the end of Endgame if Warner Brothers had left Snyder alone to make the movies that he wanted to make. I think they would have chosen somebody else to die, or not killed anybody at all.
I wonder if these people that made this decision, like these decisions at WB, are like sitting there like, we messed up. Like,
well, some of the ones that still have their jobs.
We don't want anybody to know it, but like, we screwed up.
I think they have too much pride to think they screwed up. I think they still think what they did was the best. Now, I will argue with you completely about Batman versus Superman. That's one of your top favorite films, and yet you think Civil War is horrible. I have no concept of that because completely the opposite for me. Completely the opposite for me.
Civil War.
Civil War is not my favorite, but it has some great moments. Batman versus Superman did not do it for me at all. So
but Civil War has great moments, but Batman versus Superman was a solid film. Not the film they put out in theaters. Again, the extended cut where they cut out all these emotional ties. Civil War is like literally, I've seen it one time. I will not watch it again.
All I can say is we don't have Captain America pretending to be Iron Man and being the same asshole he is. Unlike Batman and Superman are the same character. And I don't blame Snyder for it. I don't blame Snyder for it at all. It's flying Batman. Just like Keith had said, it is flying Batman. Superman and Batman versus Superman has the same dark feel. He's flying Batman.
I don't think so. I think they were trying to show. We've discussed this before. So everybody that has seen this three-way conversation, again, he was not Superman yet. In Man of Steel, he's not Superman. I don't care if he has the suit on, it's got the S. I don't care if people are calling him Superman. In my opinion, he's not Superman in Man of Steel. He's not Superman in Batman vs Superman.
He's Batman. That's why.
No, he's Clark Kent who is trying to put on a persona of a hero.
I know Clark Kent. Idea. I'm sorry, Senator, you're no Clark Kent.
And then in Justice League, until he comes back, again, I'm talking Snyder Cut. We're pretending the 2017 didn't happen at this point. So from here on out, that when I say Justice League, I'm talking about the Snyder Cut.
Well, I only refer to the 2017 version as the Warner Brothers version of Justice League.
Right.
Thus,
But until he dies and comes back, or whatever happens to him, I don't think he actually dies, but whatever. I don't think he ever truly becomes Superman until we see him like when which is again to me one of the most beautiful moments in the movie, but when he slides in front of Cyborg and he gets that axe straight into the shoulder blade and just says not impressed with like that half smirk, to me I'm like, boom, he's Superman now. Like I feel like something that Zach was trying to do, even though it wasn't his idea, what he was trying to get across and like through these stories was like, this was a journey. Like it's not boom, he puts on the suit, and just because he has a suit, that means he's Superman. He's going to be like this amazing guy. Because it's like, that's again why Lois is so important, because she's an anchor to him. Like
that's one of the reasons.
That's why like when she friggin' dies, he like goes off the rails, man. But like, I don't feel like I feel like they were trying to build you up. And I think if we would have gotten the next movie, like if we would have gotten a Man of Steel 2, he would have been the Superman that everybody like knows and loves, in my opinion.
And I don't disagree with that. I just, there are parts of Man of Steel I like. I don't hate the movie. I don't hate Batman versus Superman. They're just, they don't do it for me. The Superman in there is not what I connect with. But if he was allowed to make Man of Steel 2 and develop the character more and then bring him into Justice League, I think I would have liked that better. But as far as I'm concerned, when I left the theater after seeing Batman versus Superman, I'm like, Batman versus flying bulletproof Batman. How about that?
Well, and in Civil War,
Wonder Woman was cool, and that was what I said. Wonder Woman was cool. That's all I have to say about it.
And see, like your issues with Batman versus Superman are like my exact issues with Civil War.
So when you think Captain America becomes Tony Stark?
No, like just it not doing it for you, like, and it not feeling like the right stuff. Like Civil War in the comics, they are brutalizing each other. In what we see in Civil War, they're joking and having a good time. Like literally, they all come together to fight, and it's one joke after another. And it's like, oh, we're gonna throw our punches because we're best friends and we really don't want to hurt each other. That's not what happened in Civil War, like at all. Like
they threw punches at all in that fight at the airport.
They should have been at each other's throats. But again, Marvel didn't want to do that, and like that was my big problem. Is again, it felt, because I knew, like what Keith was saying about Batman versus Superman, I knew that they had done that. And so when I went into the movie, you could feel, to me, it felt like it was super rushed. There's good moments. Black Widow's fight was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like when she's fighting the Winter Soldier, her fights are always super great. I love seeing Spider-Man. I love seeing Spider-Man, but again, it was all joke after joke after joke after joke. And everybody was mad. One more thing, and I'll let you talk. Sorry. Everybody was mad about the Martha scene, which was beautiful. But everybody forgets in Civil War what happens to Captain America. They go, Bucky's alive, and he goes, Bucky? Nobody talked shit about that happening in Civil War, but when it happened to someone talking about his mom, and the last thing that Bruce Wayne heard from his dad was save Martha. that is a beautiful moment that people joked about, but it was okay for Captain America to go, Bucky, and then
He knew
people
Bucky
died.
was alive in the movie before, by the way. Captain America, Winter Soldier. He kind of knew that and went through it with Bucky. So he was already.
Right.
It wasn't like that was
But-
some new. It wasn't like he
but
said,
they do-
Martha. What? Why would you use that name? That's my mom's name too. Gosh darn it!
But
Which
how
is
they
exactly
do it?
what Batman versus Superman was. It was that
No,
line's terrible. That line's terrible.
no, it's not.
Depending on
That
all
is
you want,
That's
the
a beautiful
worst.
moment. Beautiful moment.
Oh my God! I've
Okay,
seen
guys,
more
guys.
beautiful moments in WWE.
The last,
WWE has better moments.
the last thing that his dad tells him before his mom dies and before
Yeah.
his dad dies is save Martha. And that he hears him say that, and that triggers a PTSD moment for why he's Batman. Like he became Batman because of that moment, because his dad telling him save Martha, and then he hears it from this complete stranger thinking he's messing with him. Like, and again, snaps him out of it because it's PTSD from a childhood. He's a friggin' guy that dresses like a bat, for goodness sakes, because of this moment in his life. And to hear that, like, yeah, like I think that's a beautiful moment. And everybody joked about it. But like I said, when they did it with Captain America, everybody was cool with it because it was Bucky, because it's Marvel. Like everybody was fine with it.
I think I split the difference a little bit with this in that, talking to a friend, a guy that I know that edits movies, and he seems to agree. I think the scene in Batman v Superman between Bruce and Clark, that final scene where the name Martha comes up, where Lois jumps in and says that that's his mother's name. What it's missing is a couple of cuts right there where you're flashing in Bruce's head, where he's putting all the pieces together. That you're seeing the whole thing with the return checks, with the employee, the wheelchair. You're seeing the thing about the prisoners and the fact that all those that have been marked by him are dying. You're pulling all the pieces together, and you're winding it round until you get to the one piece, the one person that is connected through all of this, the White Russian and everything else, and it's Luthor.
Yeah.
And he figures it out. He figures it out. He figures out that he's been had. He figures out that he's been played, and that's what makes him mad, because he was played. His Alfred was right. And he was wrong.
I think that's another reason why I like Batman vs Superman, is that both of them get played by Lex the entire time. Like he sets them both up and just
from the very beginning,
just knocks dominoes down the whole entire movie.
It's the only thing that makes sense with the movie is the fact that you have to understand once you get to the end of the movie that Lex has known everything. He is that many steps ahead of everything.
He knows Bruce is Bruce. He knows Superman's Clark. Like he calls him by his middle name, for goodness sakes. Like straight up says Clark Joseph Kent. Like knows his whole name. Like knows where his mom lives. Knows where he lives. Like I don't know. That's another reason why I like it. It's like, I know everybody says like Doomsday is the big bad guy, but it's like, it's not. Lex literally manipulated our two best superheroes.
Now, can we agree though that Doomsday was wasted in this movie?
It was a little early, but given the fact that
I think it should have been a longer movie.
Yeah, I think personally, and when I first saw the movie in the theaters, I agreed with you, Larry. But upon further review and understanding the kind of pressure that Warner Brothers was putting on Zack Snyder, I think he did the best with what he had and the time that he was given. I personally would not have introduced Doomsday that early, and I wouldn't have done it.
I wanted a Superman movie where that's it, where he's fighting Doomsday, where Doomsday comes down, he kicks the butt of the rest of the Justice League, and he's having to go toe to toe with Doomsday, to the very end. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it felt to me, it felt like Spider-Man 3, where you introduce Venom just to kill him at the very end after 5 minutes of fighting. And that's what Doomsday felt like to me, which I thought was a misuse of Doomsday, because Doomsday is such a big bad.
Well,
yes, I know you wanted to kill Superman, but make the Man of Steel 2 and kill Superman, and then do that. I don't know, but so I apologize, and I know Brittney, you and I have a good time fighting with each other on this. But
I will say this:
opinions are never going to change. There's literally nothing anybody can ever tell me or say to me. Like, even if Zack Snyder was like, "Hey, Brittney, I shouldn't have put him in there," I'd be like, "I don't believe you, Zack." Like, it worked. It worked for me. Everything you've done has worked for me. I don't believe you.
Let me say this about Civil War, though, and this is from the writers. Originally, Tony Stark was not a part of that story.
Sure.
I think the person that was the lead-off person was meant to be Black Widow, which is the reason why she was so better developed. But they ended up cutting a lot of her stuff because now you have Tony in there.
And she's the best part. Like, I'll give you that. Like, I'm a huge Black Widow fan. Never was until till Winter Soldier. Mm. And after I saw Winter Soldier, which is one of my favorite. Winter Soldier. Yeah. Winter Soldier, Ultron, and the first Guardians are my three favorite. My absolute three favorite MCU movies. Well, in the first Captain America, I love that one too. But I loved Winter Soldier because of the relationship that Steve and I loved everything they did. I mean, even like the scenes like in the hospital, like where she's blowing the bubble gum because she's just intelligent, like beyond belief. Like, she's spying on him this whole entire time. And when he slams her up against the wall and she says the whole thing, like, he's like, don't, like, stop lying. And she's like, I just pretend like I know everything. Like, she's like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, and their whole like little journey together and like the friendship, you know, and he saves her and they're in the truck and they have that moment where she tells him, like, I'll be whoever you want me to be. And he's like, that seems like a lonely life. And she brings up to him, like, do you trust me to save you? And like the fact that he like is like, I do now. Like, and they had been doing all these missions and he just did not trust her. And like right at that moment in the theater, I was like, I want a Black Widow movie. Yeah. Like I want a Black Widow movie. Yeah. Like, we 100%. Have to have one.
Now take into account everything you just said about Black Widow and Captain America. And you start to see, you know, the parallels in having those two have a relationship together.
I thought they were going to end up together, if I'm being honest.
Well, I didn't, but
I was shipping them.
Then you also see what Zack Snyder had put together with Bruce Wayne and Lois Lane.
There you go, Larry. That's the only thing that I'm not super keen on that they've released. So there you go. So that's the one thing he's released of late that I'm not super keen on.
But I get it because, you know, with him dead, the way it was explained is that Bruce is a.
I mean, he's dead. Get him out of here. Just move on to the next superhero with a cape, Lois. I mean,
Bruce felt uber guilty because, you know, he had developed all these weapons not to kill Doomsday, but to kill her boyfriend. You know, so there was a lot of guilt there, and guilt and grief are two things that do not mix well together because you're bound to do something. And given how much she was missing him, and it looked like he wasn't coming back.
Question: do you think the baby's not Clark's? Do you think the baby?
No.
Do you think the baby was
supposed
to be?
No.
Do you think the baby was supposed to be Bruce's?
Here. Oh, you didn't read the whole thing?
Wow. Yeah, the baby that's what I'm just throwing out there. He was dead. That's what snaps him out of it. It's not Lois. Like, everyone's like, Lois snapped him out of it. No, he's like, you're pregnant with another dude's kid. Like, this is awful.
When she comes out, when she stops him when she stops Clark from killing Bruce, according to Zack Snyder, that's what he senses.
Uh-oh.
senses the fact that she's pregnant because you have the pregnancy test in her drawer.
Right.
I
Yeah.
knew she was pregnant, but I thought because this is like a couple weeks, right? Or like a month.
No.
Like this isn't like
I thought so
years
too.
later.
I'm with you. I thought it was a couple weeks. I didn't
like
think
it's not years later. They haven't had anything fixed. She's just now lost the house.
Not a year. But he has been dead quite a while. And given the way that she's been acting, look.
I need a timeline.
At the very least,
if anybody's watching this, how long was he dead? I need to know.
All I know is if that is true, I want Clark to come in, catch those two, and look at him and say, "Never rub another man's rhubarb." And
yes.
that would be perfect.
No. That is the whole thing with the scene from BVS in the nightmare. That holds more weight to what
when
Clark
he says you took her
Bruce.
When you took her from me. It's not you took her from me like you killed her.
You
took her from me.
Because wait.
God.
You know who actually killed her? You know who actually killed Lois?
Superman kills her, doesn't he?
No.
Are they not doing the Injustice where he kills her?
Well,
it is.
With
Superman
Injustice, it's Joker, right? I thought it was Joker.
Well, he tricks Superman into killing her.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. When you see the scene in Justice League where they're doing all of the nightmare-related visions, okay, the scene with
I have
Clark
to own this movie.
With Clark over what's left of Lois, you know where that is?
It's in the Batcave.
That's right. It's the Batcave because in his notes, the ones that you can go see in Dallas, they talk about how in Justice League 2, Clark brings Lois to Bruce and says, "Look, you got to protect her. Okay, we're going to fight this war. You got to protect her." So he leaves. Bruce decides the safest place is for her to stay in the Batcave.
Are you kidding? Look how many people die around Bruce. Like Joker, that's literally some of the best lines, in my opinion, in that entire movie was the dialogue between all of them in that nightmare scene.
Yeah,
that's
great.
I mean, all of that stuff where he's talking about how many people die around you because you refuse to. It's because you won't die. Everybody else dies around you. And he's it's like sending the boy wonder to do a man's job.
Also, wait. Now, there's also a story with that too. The way Zack Snyder, or the way I heard Zack Snyder explains the thing with Robin, is that Robin at that time was starting to, getting older. He was beginning to transition out of being Robin, and this was going to lead him on the road to becoming who he's going to be next. And he took what Bruce was saying about the Joker more as the fact that he didn't believe in his ability to be able to take care of himself. So Dick took that as you're not ready, meaning you're not capable of handling yourself. So it became an ego thing with Dick. He became obsessed with going after the Joker.
How gutsy is it that they have it be Dick Grayson?
I see,
that changes everything to me.
It
that
changes
also
everything
makes him worse.
That changes it in a negative light for me.
See, but I'm wondering if they would have done this. This is just what I would have done if they would have done it. Because in the next one, it was supposed to be they were going to show Joker killing him, is what he said. I don't know if that's true. That's just what he said. But I'm wondering if they would have then done Flashpoint. Flashpoint wouldn't have been next. And then done Flashpoint, and when he changes everything, you essentially could have changed those little pieces of information because the Flash screws everything up when he does what he does.
Which is a great line, by the way.
Flashpoint was actually going to change everything in time for the third Justice League movie. Well, I should say no. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Flashpoint was not the original intention of the first Flash movie, okay? It was not going to be a Flashpoint movie. They decided on Flashpoint after the 2017 Justice League film.
Because they were going to rewrite it. Rewrite the history or whatever.
Because of the ending of Justice League 3. At the very end of Justice League 3, and this is where I said Kevin Feige knew this, which is the reason why they used it. It was Bruce that was going to sacrifice himself for everyone to save the day. And so they named the baby after Bruce. And
that little line where Joker is talking about, like, he's telling him that. He tells him he never sacrifices himself. He's like, it's everybody else. It's like Superman sacrificed himself for you. Like, he died.
Wonder Woman.
Like, Lois died. Wonder Woman died. It's like, like Arthur died. Like, all of these people died. Boy Wonder died. It's like all of these people died, and you're still here.
I mean, Arthur
and Joker, manipulation. He's like the king of manipulation, and I love it. Like what they did in that scene, and like just the small details. Like so, when the nightmare scene in Batman vs Superman happens, and you see I flipped out because of course I love Joker and Harley, obviously. But when you have the card duct taped to the butt of his gun, everyone's like, oh man, he probably killed the Joker. Like, what does that card mean? And then we get this epilogue, and then like the Joker's just like, I'm gonna give you a truce. It's like, as long as you have this card, I'm not gonna mess with you. Like, we'll be a team. It's like, as soon as you don't want it, rip it up, and we're back to normal. So like that scene is further down the road than the scene that we see in Justice League, like 4 years later, 5 years later, however long. I can't do math. But like that scene, like, and you're just like, oh my God, that's why he had the Joker card duct taped to the butt of his gun. Because like he has a truce. Right, they survived. You don't know who survived. You don't know who survived. It could have just been Batman. Every single one of them could have just been obliterated then.
Batman and Joker, because you won't steal the card if Joker's not still alive. So.
Right, yeah. So it's like,
yeah.
And he's just like, he did such a good job. And then when Bruce starts talking about how he killed Harley Quinn, and like the Joker's just staring, like, he almost got me. Like,
did he say he killed her? He said that Harley died in his arms, but I don't think he said he killed her.
I don't think he actually did, but.
No. And I think knows that.
And that's why I think Joker says you almost had me, like, because I think Batman was trying to make him think that he had killed Harley to get a reaction out of him, and Joker's just nuts, and he's like, you wouldn't.
And you know,
if you're gonna kill anybody, you're gonna kill me. Like, you're not gonna kill Harley.
That's the second time in that movie that somebody tried to lie to get a reaction on somebody, because that's exactly what Steppenwolf does to Diana in the third act of Justice League, and it's an obvious lie. She knows he's lying because she got the arrow from her mom.
But it's just that little moment of like tearing them down, and like all of Steppenwolf's backstory, and like Desaad and like Granny Goodness, like seeing them there. Yeah. And then like when she gets they get the memory flash, and you see freaking Darkseid just like kill Arthur with his own trident. Like,
and he takes out Velcro. Yeah, with the Omega beams.
Oh my gosh. And like actually seeing it, and like him just like turning like slowly to the camera, and you're just seeing like the red coming out of his eyes. That whole movie, I had goosebumps. Like, literally, I had goosebumps the entire time. And I think that's why I liked it so much, is because I haven't felt that way in so long, and we just haven't got to go to theaters in so long. So the fact that I can be sitting on a couch and I could watch this movie and I still could get goosebumps the entire time. I was blown away.
What kind of a sound system do you have?
I don't have a good sound system. I watched it at my friend's house because I don't have HBO. I don't have HBO Max. And so my friend let me come over and watch it. And like, we had headphones on, and like, I mean, I kept doing this, like, I don't know how many times. And then we get to the epilogue, and like, oh my gosh. And Deathstroke's like, are you still glad we brought him? Like,
right.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And again, Joker fan, Harley Quinn fan. So it's like, was Zack Snyder going to have Margot Robbie like come and be a part of his universe too? It's like, was he gonna bring her in? Were we gonna get a Batman Joker Harley movie?
So
it would have depended on if they were to release the Air cut, which now even the James Gunn is saying to do. He's in favor of releasing the Air cut.
Oh yeah, they keep saying they're not. Which I mean, he's come out saying maybe after Suicide Squad 2 comes out, he's like maybe HBO Max will do it, but I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, Dave. Unlike,
and I don't know what to I don't know what to think about the Suicide Squad 2 trailer.
Well,
by the way,
here's the thing. Unlike Zack Snyder, David Ayer didn't walk away with a version of the movie. As he's told everyone, Warner Brothers has the entire film. They've got it all. He says, you don't need to make any real changes. Just release the version that he made, the one that he was editing together as he was filming, and just release that. And he said, there's no additional filming, no nothing. Because I think within that, you're also going to get why Joker is important to the Nightmare stuff.
Because you said it's like Steppenwolf and like parademons and stuff like that were supposed to be in it.
In the movie where Enchantress and her brother,
supposed to be Steppenwolf?
That's Steppenwolf. They digitally just changed the character, is what they did. And it was supposed to be Steppenwolf and the Parademons. They were supposed to be. And it makes
so much more sense. Like you can't see because the TV's off, but I was rewatching Suicide Squad today because I've been watching the second trailer or whatever because I love Marco is Harley Quinn in my opinion.
Yes.
But so I was like, man, I'm gonna rewatch Suicide Squad because I like it for what it is. I want the other version so badly. But when you told me that about Steppenwolf and the Parademons, so I'm watching it, and I'm like, it makes so much more sense to why Ben Affleck was Batman in multiple scenes in this movie if they would have kept the Steppenwolf and the Parademons. I mean, I liked seeing them because, again, I got to see Batman, Joker, and Harley in a scene together. And I love his scene with Deadshot. Like I love it. Like, it's such a good scene.
Yeah.
But like it would have made, and like they talk about Superman at the beginning, it would have made so much more sense.
Well, also
if they would have kept that in there.
He was trying to be strategic about what he was doing. Why? And that was my one thing when I first heard about this version of Suicide Squad. My thing was, wait a minute, you conquered all these worlds. Why would you not want to just come in and start tearing the whole thing apart to look for the mother boxes? Well, then they had the line of what Desaad said, which is you still owe him 50,000 more worlds. Well, he's got a lot of worlds that he owes.
Right.
Of course, some of these worlds he's not gonna, if you can conquer a world without having to physically do anything. So then how do you do that? You find a magic user who you can use to track down to see if there are any boxes on the planet.
Right, and like Joker's he's immune, right?
He's immune.
Like he's immune to it.
Well, no. He is immune to the. He's immune to the
anti-life
equation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what makes him important in the Nightmare stuff, and is part of the reason why in the original third act of Suicide Squad, it's Steppenwolf makes a deal with Joker. And it's Joker, he comes out from behind Enchantress. He's there waiting for them because he knows where they'll end up.
And that's where his burned up face from the trailer comes.
So you get the his deal is that, look, everything's going to change. The Steppenwolf guy is going to basically screw the planet up. If you want to be on the side of those that are going to survive this, Harley, it's you and me, baby. It's us, and the thing that you have to understand is that all of the stuff that they filmed, the downside of their relationship, was all due to the stuff that's going on in Harley's head. A lot of Harley's existence is the understanding of what is real and what isn't.
Right.
She is an unreliable narrator. You
Right.
cannot trust what she says,
Right.
because half the things that she thinks, it's like the movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. And when you watch the movie and then you realize in the third act that everything that you've seen from his point of view, half that stuff's not even real.
Right.
Well, with Harley Quinn, it's the same thing. She tells a lot of stories, and she lies. The number one person she lies to is herself.
Right.
And so in meeting Deadshot, Floyd, she meets someone who treats her like a person, who treats her the way that she should be treated. And she begins to have feelings for him. So there's this other romance between the two of them, which is part of the reason why she accepts these new group of people as her family. Because unlike the last family she was a part of, she was low man on the totem pole. She was getting abused a lot. Yeah, they kept in a lot of the flowery stuff, but there was also a lot of physical abuse that she had.
And I think they were worried about that, and it's like that's part of the character. Like she has Stockholm syndrome half the time.
That's right.
Right.
So that puts a different spin on the scene where Amanda Waller tells Deadshot to shoot her.
Well, and when he picks her up off of the when she's on the cop car or the car, and she's like, "Hi," and like he picks her up, and they have a moment, like but that moment feels so awkward in the movie that you're watching because they took out all the other stuff, like it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's a beautiful moment between the two of them, but it doesn't make sense.
She now is between these two guys. And both of them are bad guys. It's a bad guy and an even worse guy.
Right.
But the thing is that Floyd is a realist in so much as that, he does it for money. He's not doing it to be cool. And Joker does what he does because it's fun.
He's crazy.
He's crazy. And so for him to have made that kind of deal to basically screw the world, that's prime Joker.
Right.
He's done it before.
Yes, he has. Enchantress is being controlled by someone who's even more powerful.
Right.
So she has no choice.
Which is scarier. Like that
is scarier.
Like makes him scary. That makes Steppenwolf scarier.
Rather than it being her brother. She's trying to save her brother, which is kind of
lame.
I would want to save my sibling too if I could. But it didn't go over well.
All of that was created to change the narrative. When Batman v Superman did not perform very well at the box office, Warner Brothers.
But that's what's crazy is it did. It almost made $900 million.
That is not what they were aiming for. That is not what
I know, but the world that we live in, to where you can make almost $900 million, and they say it's a failure. It's insanity.
No. But
that's
Brittney,
crazy.
You got to understand. They never wanted Zach. They've been looking for a reason to get rid of him. And so, you take any opportunity to knock the man down, because from their point of view, the guy that they want or the guy that they don't want to piss off, if you do something to really get rid of or seem obvious in what you do, who knows how your number one filmmaker that you have with you, the guy who's made us a lot of money and won us some Academy Awards, is going to react to that. And the irony to this entire story is because of what happened last year with COVID and how Warner Brothers reacted by taking all these movies and instead of putting them in the theaters, putting them through their service. That is what ended his relationship with the studio. Christopher Nolan is now no longer a Warner Brothers guy. He's walking. So they've done all of this stuff, and it means nothing.
For nothing. You ruined my life for nothing.
Yeah.
And you ended up doing it yourself. Thanks, WB.
So now Warner Brothers, since they no longer have Christopher Nolan, you have all the people running Warner Brothers. It's like, well, then why are we being nice to this guy? We can say whatever we want. No, we don't want you back. Get out of here. Which is what they're doing.
Which is insane. I really do want that other Suicide Squad movie, though. Like,
the Ayer cut. We'll see what it looks like.
And hearing Harley talk about, because she's crazy, but like hearing her, like when they're seeing all this magic, and she's like, "You guys are seeing all the magic stuff, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And she's like, they're like, why? And she's like, because I've been off my meds. Like, she's like, I'm just making sure this is what you're seeing, that I'm seeing it too.
That's the reason why I said what I said about the movie Birds of Prey, that she's an unreliable narrator.
Right.
And I tell that to everybody that's mad, because I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. I liked Birds of Prey. I felt like that was exactly how Harley Quinn would tell a story.
Sure.
I don't feel like any of it's accurate.
Right.
Like, but and to me, the fight scenes in that movie are some of the best fight scenes I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Because they look real. Nothing looks CGI'd. Like the explosions all look real. Like all the fighting looks real. It really looks like it's them. And it is a straight up fun, wild ride. And having their main fight being at the booby trap, and like there's all these guys in crazy like it felt like it was straight out of a comic. And everybody that didn't like it, they were like, well, they killed the Black Mask and they did this and that doesn't feel right. And I'm like, guys, Harley Quinn is literally telling you this story. None of this is probably true. I'm like, she probably was helping the Birds of Prey. I was like, the Black Mask didn't die. I said, I guarantee you that didn't happen. Like, Harley is crazy. Like, nuts.
Yeah.
She's off her rocker. There's no way that 45% of that movie was probably real.
Right.
Like, to story.
Maybe.
And the rest of it is probably all, like, whoo! Like, all off the wall. Yeah.
All the stuff that she heard when she was knocked out, because I'm still believing that she's knocked out for a majority of it. The movie's being told from the point of view of someone who's really she's the victim of a concussion. She's got a concussion is basically what it is. And so
that's I don't know. So it bums me out that people are like, well, I don't like it because of X, Y, and Z. And I think the director, that's what I tell people too, is like, she's an unreliable storyteller, guys. Don't take any of this as canon.
For my dislike of the film, and it's not that I dislike the film, I dislike what the director had to say. And she's a lot like Patty Jenkins in that she's not interested in following any sort of connective tissue or rules to what has been built. Okay. And my thing is, and I was saying this last night on another show that I was on, I said, here's the other thing with Warner Brothers or with anyone outside of the MCU. It's not that the MCU is perfect. It's the fact that Kevin Feige went out and found people who are willing to work within the rules established on how whatever film you're going to make is going to fit within the rest of the MCU. Right. Because remember, Patty Jenkins was the director of Thor, The Dark World, or Thor 2. And she chose to leave because she didn't want to follow all the rules.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. You had other filmmakers. A lot of the filmmakers who were never invited back, even after making a film, were people that either had other things going on and couldn't make the time, and or they didn't like how everything was working out, and so they decided to pass. I like what you guys do, but this is not for me.
Sure.
So and I think it would be the funnest thing ever. Like, I think I like it when everything connects. Like, I like it that Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman literally. Yeah. Like, you're seeing the same fight, like, however many years later it took to make the film.
Yeah, I don't know how long, in order to make that successfully, you have to have someone in charge who, first of all, is thinking like that and can hire people that are willing to play in this sandbox, but play under the rules that you establish.
Right.
Versus having a lot of these studios outside of Disney that just don't want to do that. Oh, you want us to give some executive the power of the purse and to make decisions? No, they're never going to do that. That's the reason why I keep saying, if you're one of these people that's expecting Warner Brothers, Paramount, Sony, Universal to basically look at what they're doing with the MCU and do what they're doing, no, that's never going to happen because they're never going to give any one person that kind of power. That's the reason why I keep saying Kevin Feige is the GOAT, but he's even rarer than that. He's a unicorn because you're never going to see anyone else of that
Do the same thing.
position
Yeah.
do that, because you're never going to see anybody else get that kind of power.
Which is a bummer.
It is a bummer.
It's super
That
sad.
is the ultimate bad news.
Well, when you
All of
see what he does and the amount of money movies make over and over and over and over that he's in charge of, you would think, you know what? They're being pretty successful in doing this. Maybe we should do something similar. I mean, we don't have to copy storyline. We don't have to copy the way, the humor is added in, but we could copy how it's being managed, because it could be a management thing. But
see, that's what they don't want to do, though. They just think they can just copy, because I mean, that's what they did with the reshoots of the Suicide Squad. Is like, oh, well, we'll throw in some jokes, and we'll do this, and we'll do that, and we're gonna lighten it and tone it down.
And Suicide Squad should have some jokes.
Oh no, they should, but they should be R-rated jokes. Like they shouldn't be Marvel MCU jokes, because that's not their characters. You know what I mean? It's like
no, because they're bad guys, right?
Like when Spider-Man does his stuff, it makes sense. He's Spider-Man. When Ant-Man cracks his jokes, it makes sense for Ant-Man.
Right.
Because that's the character. He's kind of like that.
Yes.
And it's like for Harley, I can't tell you how many times I laughed in Suicide Squad because of the things that Harley said. Because they're funny, because she's an unreliable character. She's crazy, but she's highly intelligent. So when you have her do her highly intelligent lines, and then a few scenes later she's talking about how she's off her meds, that's funny. It's totally fine to have that in there. But what they did with Suicide Squad was they got scared, and it's like, oh gosh, we can't do this. And I guarantee you, there was super abusive scenes between her and Joker. Because Margot Robbie has come out saying that they filmed so much stuff in Arkham that they had enough to do a movie of just her and Jared. And it got everybody excited, thinking the bulk of this movie is going to be focused on them. And then they cut it all out. And I guarantee you it was because they were afraid people were going to freak out. My daughter can't watch this movie because you're showing an abusive relationship. And it's like, that's the characters. They're not telling you to get into that relationship.
And you want to know
that's the character.
You want to know what makes it worse, though? As I said on another show, it's like, and it turns out that the one guy who actually is nice to her is a contract killer, and he's black. Right. Which way do you want to go? And I think Warner Brothers just got scared.
Yeah, and they did. And I guarantee you that's what it was, because it was going to be these two to them, it was like, guys, it's either this or this, and they were like, don't do either one of them.
Yeah, don't do either one. Let's just rewrite it.
Push this and then push this. Don't do it. And it's like, and let's have the Joker be like super sweet to her, and it's like the only time he's sweet to her is when he's being manipulative. Right. Like when he asks for the machine gun, like he's like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, can I have a machine gun? And it's like, oh, okay. And you can see it on her face. Like she's thinking, oh, I'm getting through to him. And then he asks for something. It's like the only time, because it's like in his own way, I think he does love her. Yeah, in a very bad way. Batman runs him off the road and he leaves. She let him drown. Like he just straight up leaves her unconscious, underwater, trapped in a Lamborghini, and pieces out. That's what he does. It's like, so you're okay showing that scene, but then they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have him come and try and rescue you, not once, but twice. Like his sole motivation is gonna be to get her back. He wouldn't have done that.
I think the other thing about their relationship is that he also realizes that she, in and of itself, she's also really intelligent. She's good at coming up with plans. So smart. Mm-hmm. Well, and he becomes dependent on her in that he can create and do things, and she's good to help manipulate, because she also is a tool. It isn't just the fact that she's his lover; she's a tool. Right. She's useful in a way to get him what he wants. Right. Her being the way that she is helpful for him, because now he can sit back, and instead of him being the crazy one to cause chaos, you watch her And it's the combination of sexy and crazy. And while you're doing that, he's able to psychoanalyze you, figure out what your weaknesses are.
The sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Like he's like, focus on her while I do this.
Yes.
And then it's like, and he's totally fine if she gets caught. You know what I mean? Like he just uses her, pushes her out there. She gets caught, and then he's free.
Yep.
You know, and that's something I really like about Birds of Prey is that she talks about that. That she was the one that was coming up with all the schemes, but he got all the credit. Like because everybody knew who he was.
Kind of like the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Well, I was going to say that's exactly what I was going to say.
That cartoon's amazing. I can't wait for season 3. I wish they would hurry up and put it out.
You said exactly what I was sitting here thinking, just waiting for my time to say, Keith, was like the Harley Quinn cartoon, which is amazing.
So good.
So let me say a couple things. As you know, I did not like Jared Leto as Joker in Suicide Squad. Didn't like him at all. I couldn't process who this was. I liked him a lot in Justice League in the epilogue. And I was actually, when I saw that he was going to be in there, and I'm like, oh, you're going to ruin this. What are you doing bringing him in? I was so pleasantly surprised. So I'm like, okay, well, this Joker I can deal with. This Joker makes more sense to me. The one in Suicide Squad, and it may have been the way it was filmed or whatever. I just couldn't process who. I'm like, I don't like this character. But I don't typically like Joker, but at least I know the Joker and I know who he's supposed to be. I really didn't. So we are a minute. We're an hour and 40 minutes in.
Yeah, a minute. That's it.
A minute. It feels like a minute, right? So an hour and 40 minutes in.
It was just a minute.
Let's talk briefly about the new Suicide Squad trailer, and then we'll wrap it up, and then we'll have to figure out when we're going to do this regularly, because this is great, guys. And you know, I love teasing Brittney and arguing with Brittney because we have a mutual respect for each other, even though we are both very passionate about the things we like and we don't, and that's okay. So tell me your guys' thoughts on Suicide Squad 2 or the Suicide Squad trailer.
You know what? My thought on it is I like the fact that it seems more in keeping with how this incarnation of the Suicide Squad that DC Comics is. There are 2 incarnations of the Suicide Squad that DC Comics has. This incarnation is more in keeping with the original film that it's kind of based on, which is the Dirty Dozen. Right. And I like that. I like the fact that the poster that they put out, the teaser poster that they put out, it looks a lot like those late 60s, early 70s movie posters.
It does.
So I like the fact that anybody can die. I like the fact that you've got all these big stars, and you have someone like Idris Elba, who is in his second DC movie. I like how he's a part of the whole team with Joel Kinnaman and everybody. I like how everybody fits in. I see nothing wrong with this movie, and I know that there are some people that might like it, might not like. I get it. But you know what? I'm a big fan of the Dirty Dozen.
Yes.
And this movie just tripped something for me. So yeah, there are some people that might not like it, Killer Shark and blah blah blah. I get it, I do, but I can't explain it. I remember watching The Dirty Dozen when I was much younger, and that movie is just one of those films that, oh my God! So when they had a comic book that was very reminiscent of it, when they remade the Suicide Squad, I think in the 80s.
Yep.
I was down with it. It's like, okay, this is a cool concept. You're taking the Dirty Dozen concept and you're relating it to supervillains, and I get it. I'm down with it. So to make a movie like that, I'm there. I'm just happy. Look, I love Amanda Waller. And I think a character, she is a fantastic character. I would love to see them eventually just do something else with her. I would love to see how not just Checkmate. I think that
Checkmate would be awesome.
I think using her to open up the door to the shadowy world of agents and super spies within the DC realm, because there are a lot of those groups out there.
Is it Argus?
Argus is one, but you also have Checkmate, as we've mentioned, and then you have people like her mentor. The person who brought her in was King Faraday, who's one of my favorite characters, and he also became a mentor to Dick Grayson when he separated himself from Bruce originally. He was the one that taught Dick all of the really cool super spy tricks that he would eventually use as Nightwing. Was King Faraday. I love King Faraday. King Faraday is one of the coolest. He's like a James Bond within the world of DC. And he's a little known character that should be more well known than what he is. And he is Amanda Waller's really he's the one that brought her in.
Right.
He discovered her talent.
Wasn't Pam Grier Amanda Waller in Smallville?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. She's been played
I like Pam Grier.
Numbers of ways.
And, I like Pam Grier.
Oh, it's Amanda Waller is just she's cool because she has absolutely no powers at all.
But she has all the power.
Yes.
She has no powers, but all the power. They all have to follow her lead.
Her backstory is such that I think a lot of people can identify with that. Because if you've ever read her backstory of how she became who she was, in that respect, I think I can understand why she and Bruce kind of have a certain level of respect for each other.
Right.
But also a lot of animosity.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's a combination of I like you and respect you, but I hate your guts. and
I'm going to sabotage you, so don't worry about it.
Yeah,
When Ben Affleck tells her, I love that scene too. Like, and that's why it's hard for me to like. That's why I like the original Suicide Squad. But him telling him to shut it down, like
or
when he's like, shut it down. Like, I don't like it. Like, all these guys that I've put away, I don't like you getting them out. Like,
what you notice though,
like it.
That was only in response to what she was saying. Remember what she said before he said that? She said, hey, you're looking a little tired there. Could be all those late night activities. Yes. And that's when he stops and turns, is like, shut it down.
Shut it down.
And my friends will shut it down for you.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to. You don't want. And like, I think that would be cool to have a Justice League Suicide Squad movie.
Oh
like that would be awesome. Like, it's not going to happen.
After him. Yeah,
it's not going to happen. But
can I at least ask this question? And I know you've already asked her, but let me at least ask this thing. Just quickly. What did you think about the whole Justice Society announcement for Black Adam?
No,
I'm excited. I'm excited about it, but I'm trying to not get my hopes up. Does that make sense? Okay. It's like the same thing with Suicide Squad 2. Like, I'm really excited, but I'm trying to not get my hopes up because I like James Gunn.
Yeah.
I love what he did with the Guardians, and I'm afraid. So this is what concerns me. I love what he did with the Guardians. Like I said, the first and even the second one. I love the second one. That first Guardians movie was so gorgeous. And he did the comedy perfect, in my opinion. Like, I was laughing. I cried twice watching the first Guardians movie. It was very emotional. But again, that what he did fit to those characters.
Right.
So I love all the promotional stills they've put out. I loved like the teaser stuff, like with Harley being in red and black. Like, I loved it that he was like, hey, I want her back, like, in her red and black stuff, because that's like the true Harley,
right?
Is red and black. I was super excited about that. Like, seeing her with like the rocket launcher. I like it that they have King Shark. Like, I was real excited. I was excited that Flag was coming back and Captain Boomerang was coming back. So I'm trying to not get my hopes up, which is hard for me to do because I love Harley Quinn. So everything that she does, like, I'm super stoked about. Like, John Cena, I think he looks great. Like, his stuff, I think, is super funny in the trailer. What I'm worried about,
a beach of dicks.
Yeah, and he's just for liberty. When he says for liberty, like that stuff, like so I'm super excited, but I'm trying to not get my hopes up because what I'm afraid is going to happen is I'm afraid that that's what he's going to do. and I'm afraid it's gonna feel forced. Like I'm afraid it's gonna be too over the top.
He's gonna eat a beach.
No. Not that. Not that. But like,
well, that would have to be forced
because it's so like the literally the very first trailer they put out is so over the top.
Yeah.
Like, and I get it. That's what they are. They're a crazy ragtag group of people. I'm just concerned it's going to be so over the top that it feels weird.
Yeah.
And not to character, because he's known for doing that. Like he's known for doing these and he did it on purpose. Like he's like, I'm going to do the Suicide Squad, and everybody got so excited, and then he started releasing these characters that people were like, what? I don't know if I want them in a movie. Now, did he pick these certain characters because he's going to kill them all off within the first 10 minutes? Probably. But so that's just my fear. Like, I'm super excited. When I saw King Shark, I was a little bummed because I thought, and then I thought about it, but I thought they were going to make him more vicious looking and sounding. And then I started thinking, well, are they trying to do what the Harley Quinn cartoon show is doing? And you know what I mean? And because he's more like I don't like blood. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I see blood. You know what I mean? Like, and I love him in the Harley Quinn show. Like, I love him. So when I first saw him, I was kind of like, that's a bummer, because I don't like the Flash show, but I liked the episodes that King Shark was in. I liked how he looked. He looked tough and like mean. And,
right.
And then I was like, so is that what he's going for? Is he going for like like what the Harley Quinn cartoon show has been doing? And like, that's the take he's taking on them. Cause it's like, they're sitting all in a room and he's like, hand. And I'm like, oh man. I'm like, so I'm just trying not to get my hopes up. Like, cause I'm afraid I'm going to get in there and it's going to be like so over the top and it's going to be nothing but jokes to the point where I'm like distracted by them. Like that's my only concern. Like, cause I said, what he did with Guardians, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I just hope that it's not so over the top and they just had such a good time making the movie, because that's what all of them have said. It's just been a blast. Like, I'm afraid that they just had so much fun that they forgot that they were making a movie. And like, stuff has to make sense to a point.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, I'm really excited, but
I think you can balance the comedy of King Shark with the hand, with him eating the guy.
Oh yeah, and he tears the guy apart. Like,
right. I mean, so you're like, so he is pretty vicious. I mean, he rips a guy in half in the trailer.
I do like it. I like it when he shows him eating the guy. That like you see, like how Great White does. Like you see the teeth. Like the teeth come out, like that was neat. But I don't know, like, so that's what when I started thinking about it, I was like, well, I like how he is in the Harley Quinn show. Like maybe that's what they're going for, and like he just stole it straight from that. Maybe.
Yeah. Now, did anybody have a flashback to Saturday Night Live though? And
Land Shark.
Yeah.
And Brittney's like, what are you talking about? No, it's the pizza guy. It's not a land jerk.
Candy Graham.
Candy
Graham. Well, I love candy.
Well, and somebody told me that they thought maybe maybe he's gonna look different come August. I don't know. That happens. That happens a lot too. Is like CG changes based on like the first trailer they put out. And like people's reactions to it or whatever.
I want to thank Larry for that, because now I'm going to be expecting that joke in the movie. Him knocking on the door.
It probably will be. But like the opening of the trailer, like I really liked, like where they're like all in the van and it's like they're like, oh, we're going after somebody, like a crazy person like dresses up like a court jester, and I like it that she just like, hey guys,
and you wear a toilet seat on your head,
and they're like, oh, like we're coming, And again, I like it because it feels like Harley Quinn.
I can go back up to the room if you like.
Right? Yeah, like because that feels like something. Because again, she's been in an abusive relationship for so long. So like when people do nice things, like she's like, oh yes, like I like that, like all of that stuff, and
I felt really good about that part. I thought that was really well done in the trailer. I thought, okay, you kind of that really pulls the essence of what the team is and the character of Harley, because you're like, oh, okay, coming for me, really?
Yeah, like because she's just so surprised, like what? Like, oh man, I didn't have to do all that work. Like, I'll go back up. Yeah. And like you hear Idris be like, well, that feels like patronizing. Like, no, like we're not gonna do that. Like, and so it's like those moments I'm like, see, like that, like I'm hoping that's how the comedy is, like where it's needed, and not to where like where you're like, oh God, like yeah, like, and who knows, like maybe that's gonna be something else.
Well, see, I thought he was really trying to ask a question and see my hands up and just like,
and
yes,
she's
that's
like,
your hand.
yeah, that's your hand, and they just keep going. I'm hoping that's what it is, and not him just being like my hand, and her just like ignoring him.
Right.
It's kind of what I'm hoping for.
She asks for questions, and he raises his hand like he has a question and says, hand, like he's trying to get her attention. This is my hand, it's up. So
and she's
I don't
just
know.
like,
hand. It's like, Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller.
I love that she's in her red and black, and I love that they have Waller back, like because I think she's fabulous. I wish she would have been in the first one more.
Right.
But
I don't know. More with her. It's just the fact that you get with the first Suicide Squad film. I think there's also buried within what Air had originally filmed was the reason why she was there, which is that she would have information leading to eventually where they could find the mother boxes because she was well connected.
Right, man.
That's the real. It literally Suicide Squad was a respite from all of the superhero stuff to tell a story that is still connected to this world, and was kind of a prequel to the events of Justice League.
Right.
That's really what Suicide Squad was.
It's such a bummer, man. It's such a bummer.
So
it's such a bummer.
I was thinking
and it's like, and are they going to talk? And that's my thing is like, are they gonna? Because it's not a reboot. You know what I mean? So like, that's what I think is funny is like everybody's like, oh well. We're not going to do another Suicide Squad, and it's like we're going to do Birds of Prey, and it's like, guess what? She has all her tattoos, and then like Suicide Squad 2 isn't an actual sequel to Suicide Squad. It's like a new thing. She still has her tattoos, so that's what I think is funny. It's like I think it's still part of the world, or they would have just been like, "Hey, Margot, we're going to get rid of the tattoos."
Yeah.
And go a different route. Well, she still has them. She still has all of her tattoos as if this is all still canon.
I think what Warner Brothers has decided to do with all of this, and this is the part that I really hate, that they're going to continue to keep the Warner Brothers version of Justice League is canon, but that Zack Snyder's version isn't.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's so dumb. That's so dumb.
Ta-da! Warner Brothers. We've been doing this for decades, and nobody really complained. You know,
we've been screwing superheroes since 1979. So
yeah, I think we have been complaining. They just don't listen. They're just not listening. We have been complaining.
Now that Twitter is abuzz, they're listening a little more. Actually, their bosses are listening more. So I enjoyed the trailer a lot. I looked at it and thought, okay, I like where it's going. I could see where it could go too far, most definitely. But I think you take this group of characters and you got to kind of play to some of that because they truly are on this mission that where they're probably going to die. That's what the whole thing's about. And if you screw up, you can have your head blown off. So you have to add in some humor to kind of deal with that level of craziness that's going on. So I think that's a good balance. Now, I expect Gunn will have it. I'm also trying to figure out who who Sean Gunn is, because he has to be in here because he's doing his brother's film.
He's the guy that's like licking the glass wall.
Oh, he's the cat licking the glass wall?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
That's who he is.
It's not Catman, is it?
I don't know who it is.
Because I'm like, oh my gosh. I saw that and I kind of laughed. I'm like...
Keith knows who it is. I don't know who it is.
Idea.
So,
yeah, I don't know who it is, but that's...
I didn't know who it was. I kept waiting to hear, and I'm like, okay.
They don't ever say, like, they don't say is... I'm sure he gets it pretty early.
Probably
and that's like kind of like that's kind of my hope, is that there's a whole lot of these people. Like, I'm hoping what they do is we maybe see a couple missions before Harley gets captured. You know what I mean? Because she's like in the dress for a lot of the trailer, but it's like so, and then you see him in a jungle, and she's in the leather red and black with the rocket launcher. So I'm hoping that we see a couple, and there's like someone that's orange and purple.
Yes.
I don't know who that is. We see them in a plane with a bunch of them. So what I'm hoping there's like, we get to see a couple of Suicide Squad missions where we're seeing like 4 or 5 of these people get killed within like the first 10 minutes. Like we see like, here's a mission, 4 people dead. Here's a quick mission, 6 people dead. And then like, Flag and Harley and like kind of like the main ones. They're the ones that keep surviving.
Right.
So I'm kind of like, I'm really excited about that because I'm hoping that's what they do. So we don't just see one giant Suicide Squad mission. We get to see like, oh, this is how it works for them. And so this is why they have so many of them. It's because they get killed. Right. It's like they get killed so quickly that they just have like a giant jail cell with all these random people that most people haven't heard of, because it's like cannon fodder. We need as much cannon fodder as possible.
So tell me,
that's what I'm excited about.
The character from the one guy that was from Walking Dead, they make a big deal of bringing him out. Who is he? Because I hadn't figured that one out yet.
Is it Rooker?
Yeah. Rooker,
I don't know. I don't know who he is. He's bouncing the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he catches it. Yeah, they make a huge deal about him.
Right, and I'm like, who
I don't know why.
Because I was trying to figure out who the character was that they're bringing in here that's important enough that you're making this big of a deal. So
yeah, because they like show the injection, like they show him sitting there. Again, I'm wondering if he dies super quick. And it's again a James Gunn just messing with people and just showing you, like thinking like he's gonna be like the next big thing or something. And I guarantee you he's gonna be gone. I think he's just going to die. Yeah. I think he's going to be gone quick.
Harley and Flag and Boomerang.
And then has to have a new team.
Here's a new team. So, yeah.
Right. And they just keep giving me. I'm going to tell you right now, if they kill Harley, like I'll walk out of the theater.
They're not going to kill Harley.
I'll walk out of the theater. Hopefully I get to see it in the theaters. They say so. They say it's coming out in August.
Hopefully. Well, and hopefully by August, all of us will have our shots and things will be better. And
actually, I get my second one tomorrow.
Oh, good for you! Yay! Mine's scheduled in August, so yeah, early August is my second one. So yeah, good for you, Keith. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm kind of excited for it because I'm looking at it going, man, this is looks like a lot of fun. Let's see how it does. And I don't think you have to have Joker in it, so I think that makes it even better in my mind.
Oh yeah, so. And I'm not concerned about any of that stuff.
So
like, I would like to see Joker and Harley and Batman. Like, I would like to see them back together in Gotham. And And I want to be honest, like I loved Birds of Prey, but I still wish they would have done a Gotham City Sirens.
Yeah.
And that's the way they could have introduced Batgirl, in my opinion, is obviously, I love Gotham City Sirens, but like they would obviously have to tailor it down and to find an actual storyline. But like they could have just introduced Batgirl and like had Batgirl. You didn't have to have Batman. You didn't have to have Joker. Like you can talk about all that stuff, but you could literally have the Gotham City Sirens and like Batgirl trying to prove herself.
Right.
Like, You know what I mean? Like her trying to prove herself that she deserves the logo.
Right.
Trying to take down these 3 women that Batman has had struggles with all the time. Like that's the movie I want to see. Are we gonna get it? Probably not. That's what I want to see.
Keith.
Hand.
The name of the character is Savant. That's who
Savant.
Michael
Rooker's playing.
is playing.
Rooker's playing Savant. Yeah.
He is he's a vigilante computer hacker.
What's with the ball then? Like, what's with him bouncing the ball? If he's like a computer hacker.
Maybe that's his tick. And how does a computer hacker help out the Suicide Squad?
I'm telling you, I think he's gonna get it quick.
I don't really understand that.
I think he put him in the trailer just so everyone's gonna be like, he's gonna be the next big thing, and I think he's gonna kill him real quick. Get rid of him.
I would love that, right? That would be awesome. Now, when that's happened, and I hated it, was in Scream, but
yeah, for Drew
because I love Drew. But I even watch her show sometimes.
I do too.
I mean,
I like Drew Barrymore.
She's so personal. Anyway, that's way off the subject. So, but Drew's awesome.
Yeah. I like her a lot.
I love hanging out with you guys. You guys are phenomenal.
Heck yeah.
You guys are so much fun, and I've missed just doing this.
Me too.
It cleanses the palate. And, it allows me to say things like this. Coming up on Pop Culture Minefield, we are going to have the legendary, the main man himself, one of the if there was a Geek Hall of Fame, this dude would be in it. Robert Meyer Burnett is coming to Pop Culture Minefield.
Nice.
So we were able to get him.
You guys get the best guest.
That's awesome.
We just continued to ask. We just kept bugging him. And eventually he said yes.
There you go.
That's awesome.
We have him coming up. So be on the lookout because we're going to have a lot of fun with him. Hopefully you guys will watch.
Yes.
And ask questions because Robert Meyer Burnett, that's a guy that knows a lot.
Right.
And he's done a lot.
Yeah. Do we have that scheduled out yet, Keith? Do you know when he's coming on?
He'll be on in a couple weeks.
Okay. Let us know. Let us know times and everything else so people can stream that live and also watch it later if they need to. Like those of us that work during the day that sometimes can't watch live, but we can watch. We can definitely watch it later. So awesome.
Yeah. Again, we've tried to do so many cool things, and we've run into a lot of roadblocks. A lot of people saying, no, I can't do it, or no, I can't do it at that time, or I'm kind of busy. Ask me again, and I gotta really hand it to Gary because he just keeps going at people, and I'll ask a few people, and then it's like, okay,
right.
That's how I am. Just like never mind.
Gary's a bulldog. He just keeps going after him.
Yeah. Forget about it.
I'm telling you,
he's awesome.
Gary, I am so lucky to be teamed with him.
Yeah.
Because I've learned so much meeting a lot of the really cool people that I have. And I think the only thing I've really brought to it is knowing someone like that young lady. So
that's
an amazing person to bring in. Not true. Most definitely.
That's not true, Keith.
So Pop Culture Minefield. Check that out, guys. YouTube, Facebook, they've got a page there. Check them out.
April 23rd at 2 p.m. Central is when Robert's going to be on. And
all right.
It is going to be 2 p.m. He is, trust me, this dude, if you've not watched his channel called The Burnett Network, if you've not seen him on the John Campea show or on various other programs that he's done, or heard about his background as a filmmaker or as the host of the dude's a cinephile from way back. And he was the one that taught me about the value of holding on to all of your physical media. Okay. You got to hold on to it. You got DVDs, hold on to them. If you've got, do not go digital. You don't want to do that. So he taught me all about that. And just this guy, he's going to be one of our biggest guests. So
that's amazing.
Sorry, where I'm sitting
That's
is
amazing.
uncomfortable.
So
I had to move.
We heard about what's coming up on my Pop Culture Minefield, which is amazing. Guys, make sure to check that out. Brittney, tell us a little about your Indiegogo. What's going on?
Oh yeah, we're raising some money for a feature film called Happy Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it like 10 years ago. It's a slasher Halloween throwback movie. It's really fun. We shot a proof of concept. We have an Indiegogo up right now. I think we've got like 22 days left, 21 days left. We're getting kind of down to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
We've raised some money, just not near enough, to be honest. And then my mom's been like taking donations back in my hometown. Like she's been like baking and stuff. She's pretty amazing.
She is.
She is amazing.
It's just so sweet. She's very supportive. But yeah, so she's been taking donations back home. So we have some money that's like not reflected in the Indiegogo, because we don't want to put it into that,
Right.
because they take some of it. So that's what people don't realize.
Right.
Is they take a percentage. So whatever you get, you don't get the full amount. But yeah, so if you go to my Facebook page, or if you go to Geeky Cool, you guys have posted it.
We have
as well.
And we'll post it down in the video below. We'll post a link to Pop Culture Minefield so you guys can check that out. And also to Brittney's Indiegogo, and also to her trailer, because you want to check out the trailer.
Yeah, it's
once
really
you see
fun.
the trailer, if you guys like horror movies, especially 80s slasher horror movies, then you're going to want to donate to this because you want this made. This is going to be a full-length feature film. It's going to be amazing. If the trailer, if it is a tenth as good as the trailer, you're going to love it. So you guys need to check it out.
Yeah, that's all David and Tyler too. They're phenomenal. Like they shot, they shot and did like all the lighting, and so there's just a lot goes into it. It's makeup heavy. And I can do a good portion of the makeup, but there's some stuff that's my skill set. It's just like, I don't have the skill set for some of it. So some of it I can do and help save on money, but there's some stuff that we're really going to need help on, and decorations, and we're working on some locations, trying to get some locations that we don't have to pay for.
Help save on money.
But I don't know. We'll see.
So so we'll have links below, guys. Check those out. Check it also out for Pop Culture Minefield. We'll have a link to Geeky Cool also to my site, and also to the Geeky Cool Presents weekly podcast. And check out last week's episode with Brittney. You can actually see her talk about this for quite a while, along with talking about the Justice League Snyder Cut, which we spent a lot of time doing, which was awesome. So
no one's going to want to talk to me because they're afraid that I'm going to talk to them for 2 hours about the Snyder Cut. Like everybody's worried. They see me, they're like, oh.
Hey, the fact that they put out something that makes you that excited, and I'm excited for it. I really enjoyed it.
It's amazing.
Which coming from where I was at, because unlike you, I was not a fan of the first two. And again, I'm not blaming necessarily the director for that, but I just wasn't a big fan of those two movies. But this one told me this is the Snyderverse I wanted to see. So yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Check out what we're doing, guys.
When the Flash moves her hair, like it's like the cutest thing ever. When he's just like, oh, let me move that hair for you,
and grab the hot dog.
Adorable.
And went back to feed
adorable.
The dogs.
Yeah, super adorable.
That is awesome. So check us out, guys. Hopefully, and we'll talk about this. The three of us will talk about this sometime here very soon. But we're going to find a way to get this going as a regular thing, so the Titans can be back and not have to go years without doing this, because this was so much fun, guys.
At the very least, we should at least try to do this once a month.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah,
at the least, if not more. So yes.
Yeah.
I'm open to more. So, but all right, guys. So stay tuned. Keep your ears open for Titans of the Fantastic for more news coming. Check us all out because we're all doing cool stuff. And we will catch you guys later. Have a great evening.
Hand.